Hello, hello. I'm Amana, your host, and today I have with me my husband, Owen,
Hello.
and we're going to do a little impromptu episode. It's the new moon right now, October 6th of 2021, and we're going to talk about what I like to call intuitive toileting. The name that I first learned about it was elimination communication. And it's something that we have practiced with our kids and continue to practice with our littlest one, Charlo, who's 1.5 years. And for me, the journey of awareness about this came when I was in high school. I had a friend of a friend, an older friend, who her friend was having babies, and she had 5 sons, and she did this practice with her kids of offering them to pee and poop into the toilet, into either a small toilet or into a big toilet. I remember the first time I saw her doing this in practice, we were at our mutual friend's house, and she had this newborn baby, and she said, oh, he just like woke up. So that's one of the natural times when kids and humans pee and poop when we wake up in the morning. So he woke up, and then she said she was going to take him to the bathroom. And I was like, ooh, you're going to the real bathroom? And she was like, yeah. So I said, can I follow you? So I went and got to like watch her hold her like week-old little boy over the toilet and have him pee and poop in there. And I just thought that was really rad, and had always hoped that I could do it with my kids someday. And when I met Owen, and we started having kids, then I brought it up to him, and he was open to doing it with ours.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love if maybe you can now talk a little bit about however you were introduced to it and what you thought about it and
Well,
what you think
Amana
about it.
introduced me to it. For all you people who can't see me over there pointing. I mean, I feel like I was more than on board with it. I thought that it was a wonderful idea. The idea of changing poopy diapers does not appeal to me at all. So the idea of being able to not have to do that was a good thing. Not that we never had to change a poopy diaper, but I'm compared to anybody else that I've ever talked to, I think we've had to deal with a lot less of that. I mean,
so you didn't have that much resistance to the idea of it, but
not even a little bit.
Then when we actually started doing it, like with Odin, with our oldest, who's now 4.5,
Mm-hmm.
do you remember what that was like for you, that experience of actually doing it?
Yeah, I think with Odin it was pretty fun. He's got his little wiener sticking out, and it just kind of made aiming pretty easy. So he made the intuitive toileting pretty easy as far as I was concerned. And now I know, because we've got our daughter, who it's a whole different mechanism down there. So it just doesn't aim in the same kind of way.
Yes. And so with Odin, we did some like on the big toilet. We also had like a tiny baby Bjorn toilet that we set on the bathroom counter.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah,
that was fun, because then we could interact through the mirror, and we'd have little special toys up there.
This conversation is pretty cool, because it's also helping me to remember some of the things that we've done.
Yeah, and we kept one in the car with us wherever we went, so that then when we got to a place, we could offer him to go to the bathroom. We'd keep a diaper on him too as backup.
I was literally just going to say the same thing. It wasn't like we didn't put him in diapers.
No, he was in diapers.
It wasn't like we wanted to be. We aren't the kind of people who were cleaning poop and pee up off the floor regularly. I mean, it did happen because we were adventurous and letting our kids run around naked. But yeah, I mean, we generally don't, either one of us, like handling poop and pee. I don't know a whole lot of people who enjoy it.
No.
There are those people.
Yeah. So it's a small little potty, like about yay big, and we would have it in the van with us and stuff. And when we're out and about, also also at home, our own sinks.
Yeah.
Like sometimes that's an option, especially
for Odin Bear, particularly.
Yes. Especially
for the boy.
in like public places, big bathrooms that were scary to him. Like the toilet is like so big and kind of gross, and you have to like stand there for a little bit, and it's kind of hard to hunch over the toilet.
Yes, yes. There were a couple times where I felt a little guilty about doing it in a public
Sure.
bathroom.
Yes.
Sorry.
And outside, and like they also went to the bathroom outside a lot.
Mhm. Yeah, Owyn particularly.
Yes.
Charlie didn't like to do it
as much into it.
Yeah, but Owyn particularly, I just hold him up, just do this little holding up thing, and he'd just pee out between his legs. It was awesome. Well, you need to pee. Unfortunately, at the time, I was also learning how to deal with my own personal stuff as far as like anger and frustration and fear.
Patience.
Things that I'd never confronted in myself before because I hadn't ever been married. So I would just run, generally speaking, right? If the going got tough. And so Owyn Bear was, a baby through the period of time when, as a dad and a husband and a man and a human being, I was learning about myself and learning how to be with myself when I'm angry and how to be a good father. So there's, unfortunately, in Owyn's case, and fortunately, I mean, however it worked out, some of his intuitive toileting, as far as I was concerned, was not. I look back on, like, there's one instance when we were going off to a fair together, and we were taking separate cars, and I decided that I wanted to take Owyn in my vehicle, and she was going to come along on her own in the other car. And I didn't get very far, maybe.
And you hadn't put him in a diaper.
And I hadn't put him in a diaper, and he was in the car seat, and I had gotten maybe just out past Airway Heights. And for all of those who don't know, that's, I don't know, about 20 minutes from here, from our house, maybe a little farther. But the point is that when he did pee, I got so mad at him, and I was loud and mean. And it's definitely one of the things that I look back at clearly, or else I wouldn't be bringing it up. It's the first thing that pops into my head as far as, like, parenting.
I mean, but you bring up a couple of good points that because there are going to be misses, because we're imperfect and they're imperfect. And so just trying to have ease with that and just not make it a big shaming thing.
Well, and ease with yourself too. If you're having a hard time dealing with yourself and the anger that you're displaying.
Yeah, and forgiveness for ourselves, because we all erupt.
Yeah.
And also one thing that is a practical thing that we can talk about is when we do transition from out of diapers into underwear more of the time, that then when you're going in a car trip, you can just lay a diaper underneath them. Like whether it's a paper one or a cloth one, lay that underneath them in the car. And so if they do pee, they still have that sensation of like, oh, then I have to sit in the wetness. But it also means that you're not having to clean out your car seat because it lands in the diaper, which is great.
Yes.
Yeah. And we transitioned for both our kids into underwear, at least most of the time during the day, around 1.5 years.
How many of Owyn's poopy diapers do you think you changed? And you were probably changing the majority of the diapers when they had poop in them.
I don't know, maybe 10.
I was gonna say about the same amount. Like the whole time he was wearing diapers, there was, probably can count the amount of times we changed poopy diapers on our hands individually. Charlie's been a little bit more.
Yeah, but now we haven't changed a poopy one in a long time.
It's been a long time.
Like months.
Her birthday is March 24th. And she's inside of her second year right now.
She's not 2 yet.
No, so she's a little over 1.5 years. And it's been, like you said, months. I mean, the last funny one was when she was dancing around in the living room. For me, she's dancing in the living room, and I had her naked, and she was dancing around and all of a sudden like an egg plopped out. And it was an egg-shaped poo right onto the rug. And then I sat her down and immediately she like looked down at it and I ran over and put her on the toilet and she pooped more.
Yeah.
But that's what intuitive is all about, right?
Yeah, because so many times we've had that experience where we like think, oh, I should put her on the toilet right now or offer her toilet right now. And then we don't do it because there's something else that we're doing. And then she pees.
And then she pees.
Because I mean, because that happens. That's why I like to call it intuitive. And then there's also just like the timing ways that we offer, like when our kids first wake up.
Do you
after
do it every
they
time?
eat.
You don't
Pardon?
do it every single time when they first wake up. You
Not
like to get her up and
always.
put her on the boob right away.
It depends.
Yeah. I'm
If
kind
I
of more of the
won't-
routine person as far as the
I'll
toilet
let
is concerned.
her up.
I think, right?
We just have different flows with them, I would say.
Right. That's
But
right.
right now I'm just trying to teach the natural timing for it. I'm not trying to say exactly what I do every time.
Oh, okay. And I'm just calling to point that the timing is different depending on who's doing the toileting, the toilet training, or whatever you want to call it, the intuitive toileting.
Feels like you're calling me out and telling me that I'm not doing. I'm trying to like teach generally and not just say exactly what I do.
Are we editing this bit out?
No.
Right then. We could just go ahead and have this argument right here on camera.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that natural times that people go to the bathroom, and like Owen is saying that sometimes, like with my own daughter, sometimes she will refuse. I offer her, you want to sit on the potty? And she's like, meh. In the morning, she just wants to have milk first.
Yeah.
And so I let her have that milk first. And most of the time she doesn't pee in her diaper during that time. And she does when she's done having milk, and I put her on the toilet.
Totally.
But what I'm just trying to say is like, these are like natural times for us to remember and think about with our kids, is like after they wake up or after they eat. Or
Before they go to bed.
Before they go to bed, after a car ride.
Yeah.
Before a car ride is not a natural time, but it's a good time to offer.
Every half hour to hour-ish.
And
anytime you get that moment where you're like, hey, it's been a while since my kid went to the bathroom. I think we're going to just do this together. Sometimes with my kids too, like with Charlie now, it kind of motivates her if I'll put the little potty seat in front of the toilet and I go down and sit and pee myself with her sitting in front of me on her toilet.
That's what I was just going to say, is also
Yeah.
you can think to just bring them with you when you go.
Yeah.
And like Owen's saying,
Yeah, that's
like,
one of
that's
my
great.
timing signals. Is like if I need to pee, then I just take the kid with me. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've tried to make it fun and have, like, when they were littler, different toys. And now that she's at the age she is, so she loves to sit on the potty and look at books. Sometimes she'll sit there like after she
both of our kids are
like,
toilet readers.
Yeah, and like we'll read to them sometimes, and sometimes they just read on the, like, flip through the pages on their own, and it becomes their little special space. And even Odin now, he doesn't, he wants his alone time on the toilet.
Yes, he, to the degree that he likes to a lot of the times run downstairs to the more private bathroom so that he can just be there for a while. That's cool. I mean, he went through a period of time there too where he didn't like pooping.
Yeah, he was doing some withholding for a while.
Yeah, he was like, constipating himself, and
which is common for kids to go through.
Some of those things that came out of him were freaky. I mean, I'm a 6'9" giant man. Amana is a 5'7".
Yes.
A little bit taller than average woman. And neither one of our turds compare to that guy's.
Kids have some big boobs.
And I couldn't believe, and I just felt so bad for him because you could just see the pain on his face when he was going through some of it.
But we're glad that he's through that.
Yeah, he's come out on the other side. He's not 5 yet, and he's doing it all himself now. He's wiping his own butt.
Yay! Yeah, I wonder if you would talk about your experience with Charlo and your, like, first catch with her.
So because we had already had all this experience with Odin Bear, and we were done with the intuitive toileting part, and now we were on to teaching him how to pull his own underwear up and whatnot. When Charlie came out, I was like kind of excited for the opportunity to sort of do it again, like do the same thing with our other kid, and logically I knew that they were two completely different human beings and that it wasn't going to be exactly the same, but I was still motivated because of the first kid and how successful it was. I would definitely call it successful.
Yeah, and I remember, and he stopped wearing diapers at night and naps when he was like 2.
Definitely before 2.
Before 2?
I feel like he was
during naps even.
Yes, I feel like at this point I'm almost close to taking the risk with Charlie.
Yes, me too. I have been too.
And she's, like I said, a little over 1.5 years. So
yes, I think it was around 2. We started letting him choose if he wanted to wear one at naps, and then like. You
may have to refresh me a little bit on the Charlie first puke catch.
That's okay.
Because I remember doing it.
I can tell mine. We even have it on video.
Right. So Charlie was born in the living room on the living room floor.
Yes.
And how long did she even stay in your arms before I was like, I think she.
No, it was after we were like in the bedroom and we burned the cord.
You had done the ceremony.
Already done that.
Okay.
And then you were holding her maybe as I was getting all something, and you were like, I think she has to go. She was doing the wriggle.
She was like,
but
yeah.
I totally questioned him, and I was like, are you sure? But okay, go for it. Also like having that, but then
yeah, she was being protective mama.
This was her first like separation from me.
Yep.
Yeah, the first hour.
This is the first time Dad took her away, and I had her. It was the first time I was holding her.
I was in the bathroom with you too.
And I don't remember that.
And I videotaped you.
So we have evidence.
Yeah.
We have video evidence of this. I think I might be aware of the fact that there was video evidence, but I don't know if I've actually seen it.
Okay. So yeah, you were like, I think.
And then sure enough, I go over to the toilet and I used my belly as her like seat back, basically, and I kind of like, because she's so tiny, I could hold her head, and I could have like, just with my pinkies, I basically had her legs, and with the rest of my hands, I kind of had her head and her body together like a little bundle. And sure enough, it didn't take long.
She pooped all the meconium, all that sticky black poop that comes out first.
Yeah, it was all in the toilet. We didn't have to deal with it.
It was amazing. Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh my God, you're catching her first poop!"
And I did it on camera. I was like so happy and surprised.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, as far as I've been concerned, that's the way I've always sort of approached. God, almost any children that I've ever dealt with in my entire life, now I'm 42 years old and I've got 2 of my own finally. And the intuitive toileting really is a metaphor for the kind of parenting that we do.
True.
I mean, it goes way farther than just the toileting, and learning this. And another cool thing about the intuitive toileting is that it's almost like your first form of communication. Or mine as a father, because clearly as a mother, if you're breastfeeding, then immediately baby is going to be communicating to mom that they want food, right? And that's sort of comforting. But as far as Dad is concerned, like when I started like trying to figure out what signals the kid is giving and how they're communicating to me that they're about to poo or that they are uncomfortable for whatever reason, then they don't really know why they're uncomfortable, what's happening. Maybe I can help guide them and teach them. And after a while, it doesn't take long. It only takes a couple months before you can start offering it, like just setting them on the toilet, and just that's a trigger and they'll go to the bathroom. Odin really did that well. Charlie's a little bit more independent.
And that's her spirit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not trying to say that she's been difficult. It's just been a different challenge.
Yeah.
With Charlie than it has been with Odin. I mean, like I said, the mechanism, like
it's messier.
Aiming the pee. So I don't do the whole, like, I don't like Odin Bear. I would just pull his pants off and hold him anywhere and he would just pee out. Where with Charlie, she hasn't really liked doing that.
She
Like, I
hasn't- she
haven't really been
hasn't liked-
successful with that very
Yeah, she
often.
hasn't liked to go outside as much. I think part of that is like the time of year. Like she was born in March. And so although we did do a lot of peas outside that summer, but then like
Also COVID.
Also COVID, yeah. But then the like 6 months range where it's like wintertime again, we're like, it's getting cold, 6 to 9 months. We were inside and not doing outdoor peas, where Odin was like born in December, and then it was like summertime, 6 to 9 months. I was like, we were outside in the yard. I let him be naked. He peed a lot more out there
Yeah.
during that period.
Yeah.
I don't know. And they're different kids.
And they're different human beings.
Yeah.
They're pretty awesome. Most of the time. I think when they're not being awesome, it's less about them than it is about me or her, depending on who's got them at the time.
Yeah, us reacting.
How we're feeling.
Yeah, because they're like this reflection, right? If we're already gruff, then they feel that and they like give that to us, and then we're
and
that way
just
back,
like,
and then it's a
well,
loop.
yeah. And when I'm
Yeah.
feeling happy and good, they're screaming and they're playing is a happy, good sound to me. When I'm feeling aggravated or just tired, the screaming and the running is a negative feeling for me. So it's a weird, I can imagine that a lot of people would be like, yeah, I feel you, brother and sister.
Yeah, and then it's hard for, I was just thinking about the kids' perspective on that, how like sometimes the screaming and running is okay, and then other times we're reacting badly to it.
Yeah.
And that inconsistency that we have towards them based on our own feelings.
Yeah. I often think about that as well. And I mean, I kind of have to go back to the feeling also of, if I want to try and be, I don't even know what the word, if I want to take my emotions out of it. I mean, the idea of the kids, which is impossible, the idea of the kids also being able to learn social cues.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's gonna serve them well in their life anyway, because as adults, they're gonna have to deal with the same thing. You know, one day I can tickle you and play with you and stuff like that, and I might be able to poke you in the ribs, like literally come along and poke you in the ribs, and you take it as a funny joke.
Yeah.
And the next day I do the exact same thing with the same spirit, and you might get upset with me because you're not in the right place. Yeah, exactly. So
true.
So it's good for, you know, and it would be good for me to know, like for me to know ahead of time to intuitively understand she's not in the right place for me to go and poking her in the ribs. Or maybe if I gave you one little tickle and I realize that that's not a good thing right now,
then not go further.
Yeah.
I mean,
show
that's kind of what we're trying to teach
Yeah.
Odin with Charlotte too in his interactions with her, because he seems to like push the boundaries a little bit with her.
In our eyes.
In our eyes, yeah.
Because I guarantee you viewers and listeners out there that if you were to interact with our children and get to hang with our children for a couple of days, that you'd probably think that they were pretty good kids. I mean, and they are good kids. And so when we talk about these things, you have to understand that we're just coming from our own personal little bubble space of our family. And inside of our little bubble, the way that he interacts with Charlie, sometimes he's pushing things like, you know,
well, just like he likes to put his hand on her face, and she's okay with it for a little while, but then there's a certain point where she's like, meh, and he like still tries to keep it there.
And he's being, I think he's being cuddly. He's like doing this, but he puts his hand, right on her.
But it's still like, and when she says no, you gotta respect it and take your hand off.
It was so hard to get upset about that.
I know. Because
we also want to teach him to be physically affectionate with us and with his sister and with, you know, with the people who he loves. And so to get upset and mad and like angry and yell about a thing that we want to teach him positivity about if you got some advice, I wouldn't mind hearing it. I just don't, you know, sometimes the only thing I know to do is to yell out and snap and, you know.
Yes.
Go and stop touching her face. face. Ah! God, I know you love your sister. She knows you love her.
She's saying,
Lay off.
she's telling you no, because of course in the background Charlie's like, "Rah!" like,
Right. That's just
Yeah.
one example, the
Yeah.
face touching thing. But I mean, that's a good example.
Well, you were
of all
talking
of
about
the
like the
things.
tickling and like when I say no to like
Yeah,
stop, and then I
well,
was just
right.
thinking
And
how that's
I'm
one of the things that,
I'm a bug nutty dad.
yeah.
So raising Odin as a little baby, you know, I bugged Odin and I would tickle him and tickle him. I didn't never tickle him until he cried. That was something that my father would do with us. And it was something that I remembered all the way back from when I was a kid, that the fact that he would tickle us till we couldn't breathe and we'd start crying. I realized what he was doing now. He was trying to get us to stop messing with him.
Did it work?
No, I mean, it would work in the moment.
Uh-huh.
Kind of like it does here, except for I'm not. I don't know. It's weird. That's a weird thing, personal thing that I've got with Odin. And that's a hard one to overcome too. When you start seeing behaviors, when I've started seeing behaviors that I've recognized that I was doing with my son, the way I was playing with him. And now he's playing with his sister. And I'm like, oh, that's not nice. And it's like, yeah, well, you taught her. It's
Self-compassion.
I have to say that this video / audio thing is weird for me, because I have to remember that there might be some people who actually watch this.
Yes.
But most of the people are only listening. So when I'm doing a thing, you can't see that I'm pointing at myself and saying, I'm the one who taught them all that stuff. Or some of it anyway. I mean, some of it's the stuff that I haven't taught them about, having the self-control to know when to pull back and stop.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when I tell Odin, like, yeah, when I slam you hard, I'm also like making sure that I'm trying to protect your neck.
Yes.
And I'm trying to,
thoughtfully
right. And so there's this
wrestling.
like, now there's this like, oh crap, I've taught a little child all this stuff. Now I've also got to teach them all of the safety stuff that comes along with being rough, which is going to be fun getting them into some martial arts.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll be good.
Yes.
But on the toileting, Charlie's doing at this point, she is freaking awesome. And a lot of the times at this point, she's waking up in the morning with a dry diaper, unless we do a sleep-in morning. Most of those mornings, she'll let it go.
But yeah, dry most mornings. And now will like take us to the potty sometimes, or bring us the seat.
And pretty much that's the only wet diapers that we really get.
Yeah, nap.
Is when today we got one coming home from Moana's cold plunge. So we went out to the river, and we were there into Charlie's nap time. And so in the car on the way home, she started falling asleep, and I think, letting herself relax.
And we did not offer her potty before we got back in the car.
We did not offer her potty before we got back in the car. So, I mean, other than those kinds of instances, we're pretty much, if we were just a little bit more on top of things, I think that we could almost be done with diapers. Probably.
Yeah, because it's hard right now. We were using cloth diapers, and then we were using so few that I just wanted to like let go of that extra laundry,
because they would just sit there and wait until the bucket filled up.
Yeah. Well, so now we're using paper diapers, but like most of the, like 90% of the time, the ones that we're taking off of her are dry, but the Velcro doesn't like, so sometimes I'm throwing away dry diapers, which feels kind of crappy.
We do reuse them sometimes though.
Yeah, we do as much as we can.
Yeah, until they get crunchy. Yeah.
Well, until the like thing doesn't like
right. There are various different things.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, I've even been finding the smaller size diapers. I remember sticking one on her, and I was like, that doesn't look right. Oh, you got a teddy bear on there. That's the last
size.
One. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still worked.
Yeah.
She worked. She was cool with it, but yeah, she's mostly in underwear at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else you feel like we should share, or any tips or tricks or anything?
No, I think the biggest message for me, the biggest takeaway message that I hope people get is the way that it can help you communicate with your child starting at a really, really early, in an early time frame. It helps to pave the way for future communication on other things, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And we, like a lot of parents are in tune to the like offering food, right? Like, and just we're layering this in as another like possibility of a need for them to void.
Right. And it's a way to communicate before they can verbally communicate.
Yeah.
It's like it teaches us as parents how to communicate with our children before
Mhm.
they can communicate the way that we are trying to teach them to do so.
Yes, this communication without words
Right.
that we get with them, which is really beautiful.
Yeah.
All right.
Hmm.
Well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.